Estamos arrancando. Equipo de streaming, ¿está listo? Pueden tuitear que está por empezar la charla, así los que están abajo y los que están viniendo se apuran. ¿Todo bien? ¿Están vivos? No escucho. ¿Están vivos? Ok, un poquito vivos. Bueno, bienvenidos al segundo día de la Media Party. Este es un evento que dura 3 días, organizado por Hacks Hacker Buenos Aires. Como saben, la dinámica de ayer fue charlas a la mañana, una feria y después workshops. Hoy hay solo charlas y después muchos workshops y queda todavía el hackathon. La idea o la intención es que de los mejores proyectos que salen de los workshops, si salen algunas ideas y quieren seguir trabajando, vayan al hackathon con esa idea. Y hay un acuerdo con el Festival de Mozilla para que el mejor proyecto que salga de un workshop o el mejor track de alguien que continuó con un proyecto desde un taller hacia el hackathon pueda repetir esa experiencia en el Mozilla Festival en Londres. Yo sigo hablando para que I keep talking because people is getting in. So that's the other thing. So we maybe can give a big applause so people can join quickly. It's like in the beach when someone is clapping a lot of people jumping, which is similar to this. So I'm switching to Spanish again. Sorry. Hay traducción simultánea. There is real-time translation. You have to pick up your headphones in the entrance, and when we finish the sessions, it ends, so you have to deliver that before you leave the place. Hay traducción simultánea. Cuando termina las keynotes de la mañana, tienen que dejar los aparatos porque ya después no se vuelven a usar durante la tarde. Digo esto porque ayer se fueron muchos durante el día y los fueron dejando, y después tuvimos que ir buscando con sus documentos por dónde estaban. Bueno, ok. Estamos acá con Melisa Bell. Melisa vino especialmente a esta charla después que la stalkeé mucho tiempo y la perseguí por todo el mundo, y lo perseguí a Trey, que vino el año pasado también, y un poco la idea era que venga a contar lo que están haciendo en Vox Media y sobre todo en Vox, que es un sitio que ella cofundó y que hizo crecer muy rápido, y es uno de los ejemplos que nosotros tenemos como innovación y como formas de entender cómo funciona el periodismo y cómo funciona la tecnología en función del periodismo y cómo repensar el mundo de los medios. Para nosotros este es un súper lujo, sobre todo porque en Vox, no sé si saben, pero está creciendo y juntando mucha plata muy rápidamente, y bueno, pudimos raptarla un par de días para que venga a Buenos Aires. Así que la dejo con Melisa y bienvenida a Buenos Aires.
Thank you. I have no idea what he just said, so hopefully it was good. Pues no puedo hablar español, pero no tengo palabras. Pues puedo hablar en inglés, pero primero, muchas gracias. Soy Melisa, and now I'm going to talk in English because that's all the Spanish I know. So thank you guys so much for having me here today. I actually have a little bit of a personal story. My grandfather passed away on Saturday. He was 94 years old, and he lived a really big, bold, beautiful life. And I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to come be with you all today. But my father told me and reminded me that my grandfather spent a lot of time in Argentina and loved this country very much. And he said, you should go to Argentina. It's what Pop-Up would have done himself. So I'm here thinking about my grandfather a lot, and it's just really special to be here in this country with you all. So thank you for having me. As Mariano mentioned, I started a company called Vox.com, a news website, about 1.5 years ago. And we are part of a larger company that really loves GIFs. It's called Vox Media, and we think of ourselves as a technology company that ships great media brands. We have currently 8 different brands, and I'm going to just go through them really quickly. SB Nation is our sports brand. We have over 360 different blogs reporting on different teams around the United States. We have The Verge, which is our technology site dedicated to explaining the future. Polygon is our video game site. We have Eater, which is for people who love to eat, which hopefully is a lot of people in this room. Racked is our fashion and beauty brand. We have Curbed, which is all about real estate. We just purchased Recode, which is an insider technology blog run by two of the most important technology journalists in the US, Kara Swisher and Walt Mossberg. And then, of course, Vox.com, which I'm going to spend a little time talking to you guys all about today. And then the other part about our company, is just that we believe deeply, not just in creating great stories, but in creating a great business model for digital media. We believe that there's been some problems online, particularly around advertising. We have failed our audiences when it's come to advertising, and it's something that we think about a lot at Vox. We want to merge great advertising with great product, with great content, so we can really create a full package for readers today. We do that through our advertising agency called Vox Creative, and we're working really hard to create advertising that is as spectacular and engaging as our content. These are a couple pieces from Intel for Absolute Vodka. And this is something that we're really excited about trying to fix, is the digital media experience. We're at a point in time where we are trying to figure out a new type of technology, a new type of storytelling. We've been at it for about 20 years in the industry, but we still have so far to go. And what we think about at Vox Media is this idea that it's not just about people who tell stories. It's about developers, it's about designers, and it's about storytellers all coming together to create a new product for a new audience. When we started Vox.com, we asked ourselves, what does digital mean for the news? What does it mean to use the kind of technology that's available to us on the phone, on desktops? And we started looking at the way that we present news online. When we first moved online, we really carried over the formats from newspapers, from television shows. What you'd see is stories that would start with the latest news at the top. You'd add a little color, and then you'd create a little context at the bottom if you had space. This was because we were mimicking newspapers and television shows. In the past, when you had a newspaper, you only had a certain amount of inches, so you had to put the most recent news first. When you had a television show, you only had a certain amount of minutes to get this story out, so you put the most recent news first. What this meant is that we prioritized recency over understanding. We gave people the what and the where, not the why and the how. Why we carried this online was a mistake. We decided to, if you see any blog, it's the most recent blog post at the top. If you look at Twitter, it's a stream of content. We really need to think about the way that we present news differently. This is from an app called Secret. It's now defunct, but, and I apologize because there's some curse words in here, but I'm going to read this out. Sometimes when I read news, like about the Ukraine protests, I wish I could click a "what the fuck is going on here" link and just get an overview from the beginning instead of some update that assumes I know what the hell is going on. We call this the what the fuck problem. We have created an issue for our readers where they're confused about the news because we're not presenting it in a way that is logical anymore. In the past, when you needed information delivered to you, newspapers, televisions, those were great vehicles for getting the news to you. Now we are inundated by information. We are overwhelmed by information. What we need help with is understanding what matters in all of that constant flood of information. People ignore the news because it's intimidating, because it's confusing, it's not written for them. These are some headlines that I pulled one day from the US media. All of the headlines are about different aspects of the ISIS crisis, but none of them answer what does this mean, what does it matter, and how does it impact me? This is something that we think a lot about at Vox.com. How can we deliver information to readers in a new way? And we don't believe that it's just rewriting it. We think about it as redesigning it. The way we tell stories is broken, and we all need to figure out how to fix it. So a couple things that we do at Vox. I'm going to go through these kind of quick because I want to make sure that we have enough time to hear everyone today. This is our first attempt at it. It's something that we call the card stack. We figured that when you were going through a story, you had the ability to dive deeper into information. It's a topic resource that has multiple cards, essentially like a stack of friendly note cards. If you don't know what ISIS is, you can click a link, go deep into the story, and then come back to the original article if you want to. We also think a lot about just really simple presentations. What if we don't just present a block of text to people? What if we break it up into sentences? What if we add subheads? What if we try different lengths and formats? This was a test that we ran at Vox where we wrote a story about the Supreme Court case about King versus Burwell, a major important case around Obamacare in the United States. We presented a story that was just 3 sentences long, 3 important facts about the case, and then we wrote a story that was 12,000 words long. Obviously, people spend a lot more time on the 12,000 word story. It's a little bit longer of a piece. But what we found was that almost the same amount of readers came to the 3 sentences and came to the 12,000 word story. Sometimes readers need different information at different times. Sometimes they want just an intro, sometimes they want the full topic. And we want to be able to provide that to readers nowadays. We also really believe in going beyond text. If you can print out your website at the end of the day, staple it and hand it to someone, that's called a newspaper. That's not using technology in the way that you should be using technology. So we're really experimenting a lot with photography, merging with sound. This was a series of stories that we did with the San Francisco homeless. We wanted to be able to tell their stories by using their voices, talking straight to you as you looked into their eyes. When we covered Brazil for the World Cup, we sent a photographer to travel through the country, and we wanted to present an overview of what was happening in Brazil, not just at the games, but around the country. And because the internet has limitless space, as much space as your servers can host, we figured, why not do 83 photos? You don't need to minimize what you do. And then we also take advantage of the fact that you don't always have the ability to send people to places. We weren't able to send someone to West Africa to cover the Ebola crisis, but we were able to find people and to have them tell us their stories and present them in beautiful illustrations. The internet is such a visual medium. It's so beautiful to be able to present this information to people in this kind of format. We also do a lot of maps and charts. We are experimenting a ton with video right now. I realize that this looks a little bit like a cartoon. We really believe in the animation impacting readers in a way that is so much better than just words. If you give people moving images, it can capture something so much more powerful than telling a story. The next slide I'm going to show you is something that I don't think you'll ever be able to describe in words. This is the image of 2 twins in uterus that was taken by an MRI machine. Stuff like this is the stuff that we can deliver to readers today. We also really believe in the fact that we're not just a single website anymore. We live in a websiteless world. News can travel through all sorts of different platforms, and we really believe that we should be reaching our readers wherever they are. During the Ebola crisis, the United States was a little nervous about the fact that there was some people who unfortunately had contracted the disease. But it was filled with misinformation. There was no real danger that anyone was going to contract Ebola. So we created this short quiz for readers, essentially asking if you had Ebola, if you were an American, and you didn't have these symptoms, then no, you did not have Ebola. This graphic reached around 7 million people on Imgur, a web hosting site. And people never came back to Vox.com, and that's okay. We want people to have the information wherever they are. We also really believe in having a little fun. This time in journalism is so exciting right now. We get to be in a place where we're really inventing a new format, a new style of reporting. We want to see what we can do with that in all sorts of different ways. So we try a lot of different experiments. This is something that we did where we talked to various porn stars about coming out to their friends and family. We did a 28-page piece talking to them about their experience. Since then, that was one of our launch features. We've done 238 features at Vox, and they're about 4 of our top 5 stories are features. The reason why we're able to do these incredibly beautifully designed and displayed features is not because we have a great staff of designers. We do have a great staff of designers at Vox, but it's because we actually really think about our internal users. We're not just thinking about our readers and our audience, we're thinking about the people who make the content every single day. So what we do is we have a very strict process at Vox. We have a place that is overly communicative. We talk and we talk and we talk and we talk, And we do it through various ways. We get into meetings together. We make sure that we're tracking and documenting every project that we do. We Slack every day. This is a new chat system. I'm sure that you guys have heard of it, but it doesn't matter if it's Slack or GChat or IM. You need to be talking to the people that you're working with. Collaboration is so important right now. When you have people who are developers, designers, storytellers all coming together, you have to communicate the process as much as possible. We also believe in doing just enough design to really get your idea out there. We want people to have a rough idea the first time around, and then we believe in iterating on it after it's launched. We want to see how our users respond to the work. And this is what I was telling you guys about, building the tools for the internal users. So for our designers, we built something that were called responsive type boards. This is a way to make the people who are doing the work inside happy. We want them to be able to test things that are important. People will never see this on the outside. These are our snippet systems, and it's essentially for our editors to create feature stories. We've built these tools over time as we've tested how they work, how readers respond to them, and we let editors create these beautiful features all by themselves. At the end of the day, if we can create a CMS and put the publishing power in the hands of the creative people, you can walk away and let people totally create magic without having to get involved at all. We also really believe in the fact that we shouldn't be doing this alone. This is not just a Vox Media effort, that this is an industry-wide effort. This is why I'm so excited about the open source community. We just recently launched a project called AutoTune, which I believe Kavya is going to talk about later, and you guys should all listen to her speech. This is an open source tool that we've put online because I think that for the last five or 6 years, different media organizations have all been trying to solve the same problems. And if we do that, if we're just all chasing the same demons separately, we're never going to figure out how to really get back to the fun of storytelling. We need to start doing this together. We need to start solving these problems together. And that's really why we're pushing to open source a lot of our tools, so we can say, here's a chart tool that we built. Somebody else can take that and make it even better, and then we can take their work and implement it on our site as well. Finally, we believe in the follow-through. We want to know what worked well, what didn't work well, and what we can do better to improve the next time around. We do this for almost every single project that we work on, because if you don't learn a lesson, you're never going to improve. Finally, we really believe in talking to people. This is so important. I mentioned the communication factor, but we have a group that we call Alpha. It's something that we brought over from the Washington Post, where I and a few of my colleagues previously were. If you look at this photograph, you might see somebody who spoke yesterday. This is Amanda Zamora in the corner there. One of the things that I believe so much about this time right now is that working with really creative people, it doesn't matter where you go in your career, they're going to follow you around the world and eventually end up in Buenos Aires with you. And our goals in Alpha were to gossip and to build stuff. We really did get together and we had a meeting every Friday morning, and we gossiped for a little while, and then we talked about things that we wanted to build. At the Washington Post, we started with a live blog. We were curious about breaking news and how to tackle that project. Then Amanda really pushed for us to create this thing called The Grid, which was a way to collect all social media conversation happening at that moment. But this was built off our live blog platform. And eventually it turned into this, which was called The Run, which captured the entire experience of the American election in 2012. This process, if you go back and you see them, they were all slow iterations of the same tool. They may not look the same, but underneath the system was the same. And we were able to move fast because we were all just hanging out and talking about ideas together. I'm gonna skip through a couple things because I wanna get to the next talks. Another thing that we really believe at Vox Media is to destroy egos. If you're gonna be working together, you have to not have competition amongst the crew. You have to become friends with one another. You all bring different skill sets to the table. You all have different capabilities and techniques, and you need to work together. So something that we do at Vox Media is find different ways that you can interact with each other, different ways that you can learn from one another. We really try to find activities that give people the space to hang out and have fun and get to know each other. Something that one of our groups does every Friday is they get together and they do a talent share. They talk about things that they know that are just some personal hobbies that they're curious about. One person, for instance, loves to do font exploration. Another person has built a deck, a basket for a bike. These really don't have anything to do with solving the future of journalism, but it's about getting to know each other, about getting to trust your colleagues. Finally, we went into Vox Media and we rebuilt the newsroom. We decided that important activity had to come from small teams, that it had to be 4 to 5 people working in close communication, and it had to be people from all different backgrounds. You have a developer, you have a designer, you have an editor, you have a writer, you have a videographer. You make people with different skills come together, and that's when the magic happens. Finally, we have a saying that says POTS, put it on the site. There's a great quote that I love from the founder of WordPress, Matt Mullenweg, and he said that users are like oxygen for ideas. If you don't put stuff out there, if you don't show your work, you're never going to learn how your work is doing. You need to put it on the site, you need to learn from it, and you need to get information from it. And of course, the way that you learn from it is to test yourself. You have to launch the product, and then you have to learn, measure, and improve. Every product that we launch, we go through a very long, intricate process of making sure that we're testing to see if we are successful at that product. So for instance, this is just a basic read more tool at the bottom of our feature stories. It's a way to get people into the next story. We launched it. We immediately started to see success. This was a story that we put into the Learn More box. It had been published in February of 2015. As you can see, there was no activity on this story for a very long time. And then as soon as we put it in that Learn More box, people started to read it again. As soon as we can see that, we improve the box as much as possible and keep working on it if we see success like that. Now, finally, everything that I just said may not work. You have to adapt these processes for yourself. You have to figure out the process that works best for you and your company. But that's what's so exciting about this time, is that we're in a place that you have to constantly be asking, does this work? Does this work? Does this work? There's so much that comes at us in this new world, and the best part about it is that you can constantly be experimenting with your curiosity, following what intrigues you, and usually you'll get to a very good place. So always be changing, and thank you so much for having me here.